Bismillah. So what we will do now is this exercise number 8 that is going to be reading 3 things. Now we'd like to be counting what's the cost of a commute when you go from point A to point B. You need to input what's the distance and what's your car's consumption and what's the price of 1 liter of gas, and then the program should output the cost of that commute. So the cost should be used using this formula, which is the cost is going to be the consumption. We need to divide it by 100 because this consumption is how many liters per 100 kilometers. So if we divide by 100, we get how many liters per 1 kilometer. And then we multiply it by the distance, how many kilometers, and we multiply that by the price. It's going to give us how many, what's the cost of that commute. So let's do that. But basically I need a scanner. So scanner control space is going to import for me, but not this one, and I have the import that is also given to me. KB equal, you can name it anything you want. I'm just used to this KB scanner, and then system.in. I have a problem here, and then I need to output 3 things. I can just put them all in one go, or I can ask each one of them separately, but I think it's better not to get confused, to ask each one of them separately. Please enter the distance, and then I'm going to do that as print, not println, because it's much neater. And then I will just maybe declare double. Well, I'll make them double, it doesn't matter. Distance, then consumption and price, and then I also need the cost because that's going to be the result. So the distance is going to be kb.next double. There's nothing that tells me the data type, but I'm just going to choose double because just in case one would like to mention my commute is 5.5 kilometers, something like that. So then I'm just going to come to copy and paste. So this, please enter the fuel consumption, and then please enter the price, the fuel price, and this one is going to be for the consumption. Notice that I'm not going to type the whole word. Control space is going to allow me to just finish the rest, and that's better to always name your variables with something meaningful, so it'll be easier for you to follow up. And now that I have all the inputs, all I need to do is to do the calculation, which is the cost is equal to, remember what was the cost? So the consumption divided by 100 multiplied by, it doesn't matter, I can multiply by the price, I can multiply by the distance, or the distance, the price, it's all the same, because at the end these are all in the same level. It will just start from the left to the right. Do this, then that, or you can swap them, it doesn't matter. Now the cost of the commute is, and then display the cost. So you always have something like this. You declare your variables, you input them, and then you do some kind of calculation. That's what we've been doing in all these a lot of these exercises, and then you display the result. And that's mainly what you need to do. Now if I run, I'm just going to try to do something that I can verify the calculation. So if I'm going 100 kilometers and my consumption is, I'm going to maybe make it even better by just mentioning how many liters per 100 kilometers. So let's say I'm consuming 10 liters per 100 kilometers. And then the price is 1.5. That means, what is the total cost that is expected? I'm consuming 10 liters every 100 kilometers. I'm driving 100 kilometers. That means it's 10 liters of fuel that I consumed. These 10 liters of fuel, I need to multiply them by 1.5 to give me what's the cost. So it's going to be 15. So if I press enter, I should see that the commute is, there's this thing here, 0002, but we don't care about it. It's 15. Why this thing? This is the problem with the doubles, but we don't care about those small details for now. But it's 15. So that's what I'm trying to say. Now, even though it's like this, but if I just would like to make it even clear. So in kilometers, this is just liters per 100 kilometers, and the price is in SR. So now the cost is going to be this, and then we're just going to add Saudi riyals. And then if I run it again, now with any number, it won't be much. If I have like just 15 kilometers, I'm just running with 5.8 as the consumption, and the price is, let's say I'm going to use 2.5, whatever, and this is going to be the cost. Now there's something extra that I'd like to show you, but it's kind of extra. But since we're here, because we'd like to sometimes not see these kind of things, how can I just show it in a smaller, more shorter way? Now there's a way, but this involves something else. I'm just going to leave it like next to here. So you see, if I'd like to display this same thing, but by using something to control how many numbers I'm going to display, instead of using println, I'm going to use something called printf. But printf works differently. The way it works is different. I'm just going to do printf. Notice it's not going to go back to the line, the first thing. So the first thing I need to do is do the \n to myself, so it can go back to the line. So it doesn't go back to the line. The second thing is that I don't need to display the values here, because I want these values to be changed in terms of like the numbers, etc. I'm going to remove these pluses, and I'm going to put a comma, and then this is the variable. And inside here, I'm just going to put a code. There's a special code that is going to be used to mention that this is actually, I would like to have 2 decimal values after the dot. I do this percentage 2.2f. F means for every real number. So what it means here, I don't care about how many numbers before the dot, but after the dot I just would like 2. And the number here is going to be, this whole thing is going to be a floating point number, which a floating point numbers means it's double or float. And now this is going to be replaced by the value of this, according to whatever I mentioned here. So this is like some kind of a fancy way how to do things, which is actually much neater, but it's kind of a little bit confusing for you. If you find it confusing, just forget about it. So let's say that this is, let's say 8, 9, this is my liters, and then if the fuel is 2, so it's going to show, I'm just in a situation where it's just this weird one. Okay, let me just do a better one, like the one that we did before, 100, and we said 10 and 1.5. Now you see, instead of showing me this 15.02, it shows this one. So this one is with the println, the first one with println, the second one with printf. So I'm just leaving this to you so you can just see them both. All right? Yes. Well, that's a good question. Next double, I mean, for some of them it must be next double. For some of them it may not. Like for example, the distance, well, if you put next int, not so problem.
We say before double all of the
Oh, your question is just this, right?
We say here double
for all of them.
Yes.
But so saying this, that is double, that means the variable itself is going to hold double values. But what am I going to put in them is something different. Now this means in the memory, reserve a space so I can put a double, enough to hold a double. But if I don't put a double, I just put an int, it's just going to be put inside that space that is reserved for a double. So this is just what I reserve and how I use it. I reserve it with a double, but I put inside of it an int, for example. That's okay. But at the end, it will be converted to double, because everything that is going to be put inside the double, it's going to be converted to a double. So your question, if I understood it correctly, why do we have to do this? We don't have to do this. This double here, next double. It could be next int for this one. But what about the price? Now the price, can I make it next int? If I make it next int, I cannot put 1.5 or 2.0 whatever. So it has to be double. But for the distance, I'm just using 100 kilometers, 20 kilometers, 25. That's fine. But if I would like to use 25.2, then it's not going to be int, it's not going to be possible. If I do this and then run with just next int, if I put 20.2, it's going to be an error, a runtime error, where I have this input mismatch. So it has to be double depending on what you'd like to do. But according to the question, did I mention anything about this? No, I did not mention the data type. So you can choose the int, for example, for the distance, but for the price, it has to be. And also generally for the fuel consumption, it's not like a whole number, it's a real number. So it should be like that. All right.